Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about just delt and shoulder training. And I think this is one of these topics that some people will way overcomplicate, and it really isn't as complicated as you would think it is. And the reasons for that is that a lot of our shoulder training does get handled with our basic movements. And I'm going to throw in a little bit of what I think can be useful for additional work. And I've coached quite a few different things. I've had people use different methods, such as, shoulder circuits and all that. And I think those can have their place, absolutely. But if we're really going to make it simple and someone just says, look, I'm just trying to get my shoulders big, keep in mind, the shoulders, the delts specifically, the delts are the largest muscle in the upper body. It's not my opinion. People will say, well, I disagree. It's not a matter of opinion. This has been confirmed with numerous cadavers. It's very well documented. It's because it's such a big muscle that wraps all the way around. People don't realize how big the deltoid is. It's bigger than your lats. It's bigger than your pecs, bigger than your traps. It's the largest muscle in the upper body. And accordingly, it has at least three major functions. Because of the three different heads, there's always a degree of overlap. So what people do need to be clear here is that your delts do get a lot of training from your other stuff. And I'm showing, like at the start, three movements that I personally do that I feel carry over to delts a lot. And I didn't even throw pullovers in. I think pullovers help actually quite a bit too. Just my opinion. All right. But what movements really help? I think incline bench is way up there. I think it's pretty close to as good as overhead pressing. I like incline benching because of the chest involvement to carry over to the bench. But when you really look at it, it's a great delt exercise, right? And it works about half of the delt because there's a large amount of carryover to the lateral head. It works interior head. Arguably, I do know some coaches like my friend Christian Thibodeau. I've heard him say he feels it's the best interior delt exercise. Of course, there you see me doing some lateral raises, but I'll get to that in a minute. Kind of cycle through this footage. All right, posterior delts. Rowing works the posterior side of the delt. Incidentally, there is a large amount of splashover effect to the side delt. According to EMG studies, some of the rows that people have tested out there are right up there with upright rows and lateral raises in terms of the ability to hit the side delt on EMG. Now, in terms of function, maybe not so much. But at least electromagnetic activity, pretty good. All right, so I want to be clear before I hop over and talk about things like laterals or upright rows. I want to be very, very clear that your side delts are being worked. Your whole delts is being worked by these movements. Pull-ups also, right? Pronated grip, an overhand grip pull-up. I've always felt a tremendous amount of rear delt on these. More so than chins, more so than other back exercises, barring rows. Right? There's a lot of shoulder activity. Now, we come over to just the traps and stuff. Look, all your rows and pull-ups and deadlifts will build your traps. Okay? That'll handle almost any trap development. Most guys want within reason. Within reason. Not saying you can't do some shrugs or whatever. If you want more, that's your prerogative. But I mean, realistically, if we talk about just overall development, if you're doing rows, pull-ups, incline benching, you're probably going to have pretty respectable delts. All right, and let's get that out of the way. Let's be clear. Just like when people who do get really good at weighted chins, some of them say, I don't need to do that many curls, whereas other guys do, but some don't. So there's our context. If we're just looking for base development, pretty good. Now, what is it that I do always say, though? Occasionally, if you have a lagging muscle, that's where some single joint exercises come in. So let's say you do have lagging delts, or delts are just super important to you. Let's say you're chasing that certain, aesthetic type look guys want. That's the word they use. I'm just going to use people's term. All right. Well, that's where something like a lateral raise can really come in handy. But here's the thing with it. We're already hitting a lot of heavy tension on all this stuff. So if it comes to something like that, I really like just pump work for it. I think finding small exercises like using plates or lighter dumbbells, but even the plates, they're just very effective there because you can really get in straight. It feels like, for me personally, like doing them with plates, and you can change the weight of the plates. I mean, I've seen guys like the Lou Rays who do their own form of lateral. They go crazy heavy with pair of 10 kilogram plates, right? Guy does them with crazy weights all the way up over his head, all this stuff. But, come in and do a single joint exercise. If the delts are really and truly lagging, particularly, again, that side head, that little bit of cap, right? If it's lagging still after doing this other stuff, by all means, do a raise of some type. That's what you see me doing here. And I'm a strength guy. I'm a strength coach. But you know what? This is usually what I have a lot of my lifters who start saying, hey, they want that look. I tell them, look, just get lean and we'll do some side delt work. And otherwise, I just run a lot of them on just regular strength programming. I have had some clients who really do have that look a lot of guys are chasing, who just run conjugate. But have them do some side raises. All right. Have them do some side raises. Lightweight, do light weights, high reps, get a good pump, get a good burn in that area. We could argue whether you want to do 2 arms at a time, do them strict, do them with a little bit of cheating. These are points of nuance that we could argue about all day long. We could argue about it all day long. I experiment a little back and forth, and the longer I've done it, I don't think it matters as much as people think it does. But I would lean in the direction of stricter. Okay? Mainly because we already get a lot of other heavy work. Like, dude, if you're incline benching and doing, pull-ups and all this stuff, you're probably getting a lot of heavy weight on these areas. I don't think we necessarily need more of that. Look, if you're going to come in, though, and hit it directly, at that point, I really think that's the case where let's just do a strict movement. Let's try to really get a burn in that muscle. Get some blood flow to it. Get a pump. It's not a bad idea. Again, particularly if it's an area that lags for you. But I also want to be clear, not every lifter has to do that. I've also had some lifters who just their rowing and pull-ups and incline benching, even ones who don't even always overhead press, have had great shoulders. Again, keep in mind there is a context for weak links. Just the way that you're built, the way that you proportion, okay? And we always have to factor that in with these. So when I talk about the smaller movements, I'm saying, well, guys who really particularly care about that area, or girls, or particularly who it's just a lagging area for them. It just doesn't grow as easily because of their structure, their genetics. Well, then it makes sense to come in and do something like these plate laterals or a dumbbell lateral. It really does make sense at that point to do it. Throw it in, get a good pump on them, some quality reps, take sets real close to failure, and call it a day. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.